The Tennessee Titans were one of those teams last year where you had games that you watched them and you're like, holy cow, this team could be really, really good. And then you had other games you're like, oh yeah, that's why they're not there just yet. And it's easy to focus on Marcus Mariota and the disappointment of his 2018 season. He just was not good. He battled different injuries, and he wasn't able to answer the bell and wasn't willing to answer the bell either way in Week 17 in that game against Indy when the playoff appearance was on the line. And ultimately, the Titans ended up missing the playoffs. So you come into 2019 under head coach Mike Vrabel with tons of questions, specifically around the quarterback position. He brought in Ryan Tannehill to be some competition and frankly, a safety valve in case Mariota gets hurt again, which you feel like is almost inevitable. But it is now year 5 for Mariota. Same thing with Jameis Winston in Tampa Bay. There are no more excuses. You could look at Tennessee's situation and say, how confident are you as wide receivers? Does he have the same level of support on offense that Winston does in Tampa? But the bottom line is, it is year 5 now. You got to be able to figure it out. And all this other talk about who he has around him and who he doesn't have around him, it doesn't matter if the dude can't stay healthy and stay on the damn field. It's a shame, too, because Mariota can be really good, and he flashes that at times. But it's hard to get excited about him and count on him because eventually he's just going to get some type of injury and he's going to be out. So in this offseason, they brought in, like I said, Ryan Tannehill. They went out and brought in Adam Humphries to be that kind of slot weapon that I feel like they kind of needed. Then in the draft, after taking the gamble on Jeffrey Simmons from Mississippi State in round 1, who tore his ACL in the draft process, who may or may not play much at all in 2019, you go and get A.J. Brown, the wide receiver from Ole Miss, in round number 2. You would expect him to come into that core along with Tyjae Sharp and especially Corey Davis. And maybe the receiving core will be better when you throw Humphries into the mix. I will say for them, their running game should be pretty good with Derrick Henry and Dion Lewis. I like that 1-2 combination back there. Derrick Henry can be that 20-carry a game type of bell cow guy, and Dion Lewis can be that 8 to 10 carry, 4 to 5 catch out of the backfield type of dude that brings you a different element to that offense. And then when you do throw in Mariota, or even if you threw in Tannehill, you have a situation where the quarterback can also run with the ball and pick up some yards with their feet. So as a result, this is a Titans team that I would expect to be able to run the ball relatively consistently and be top 5, 7, 8 in the league in the rushing category. I look at their pass defense as well with Kevin Byard, a stud back there at the safety position. They had pretty good performance last year against the pass, and I would expect that to carry over as well into 2019, especially if Amani Hooker, who I liked a lot coming out of Iowa, can step in and fill a role there. But looking at this team, the wide receiving group, Corey Davis was taken 5th overall a couple years ago. It's time for him to step up and be that level of dude. I think he has that potential. I believed in him a lot coming out of college. But now's the time he's got to be able to show it. And as somebody like an A.J. Brown or an Adam Humphries going to provide another option there in the passing game, you look at Jonnu Smith as the starting tight end. Delanie Walker is still there. Can Delanie Walker still show you some flashes from time to time and be that guy for Mariota in that passing game that he was in the past? And then it comes down to Mariota, frankly. Like, if the dude can't stay healthy, then you ended up spending the number 2 overall pick on a guy that you're not going to give a second contract to. And if he doesn't work out, then you're going to Ryan Tannehill, and how much better do you really feel about that at this point? Yikes, oh yikes. You hate to always put it on one player because there are other things that could go wrong, other things that could be at play. But so much about the Titans this year is going to come down to the quarterback position. And Mariota or Tannehill, whoever it ends up being for the long haul, has to be able to answer the bell and give this offense something because ultimately this is a good team that is being set up well in terms of their schedule. You look at the fact they got the Chargers at home, they got Kansas City at home, they got New Orleans at home. Some of their notable out-of-division games are against tough opponents are all at home. That's a fortunate break. They've got a team that you figure Harold Landry in year 2 should be able to progress and grow and get better. This is a team with Jarrell Casey still up front. He's an absolute stud. Their defense is well coached by Mike Vrabel. Their defense at times has shown the ability to go in and mess up other teams' offenses. I like this defense. I like their potential ability to be able to run the ball. If Mariota can stay healthy, if Corey Davis can play like a number 1 wide receiver, we're starting to get into ifs category here. But at some point in time, one of these things is going to have to break. I really like the Titans this year. I really, really do. I think they end up being the best team in this division. I think they end up winning 10 games, and I think they end up winning the AFC South. Maybe that goes back to me being a Mariota fan, back with him coming out of Oregon. I don't know. That could be it. There could be some potential bias in there. I'm not saying that. There isn't. But I look at this team. I like the pieces that they have on defense. They have talent and studs and difference makers at all three levels. Offensively, if you can run the ball, you can play good defense, don't turn the ball over a ton, you can win a lot of games in the National Football League. And the reality is, when talking about the AFC South, this division, as much as any, the margin between first and fourth place is really, really small. Like, it is just as possible that Mariota could get hurt and or Tannehill comes in and he sucks too, and they end up finishing fourth, and a team like Jacksonville wins this division. Or the Colts overcome not having Andrew Luck, Jacoby Brissett plays well, and the Colts win the division. The Texans made the playoffs last year. They could potentially win this division behind Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins and J.J. Watt. Like, of all the divisions that I feel like are really hard to put a hierarchy in place and rank, it is this one. Because there is so much potential for variance and so little margin for error. It just happens to be, I feel like it's the Tennessee Titans' time to be up. I like the construction of their team. And if they can get something out of Mariota this year, I think they'll be the best team in this division.